to the NFBC Minute.
Oh.
I've got not Pastor Tom.
No, definitely
Okay,
not.
I think you all caught on to that because he just left for vacation. But we got James Angle here. James, welcome to the Minute.
Oh, thank you.
To have you
Yeah,
here.
pleasure.
Glad
This is
to have you
awesome.
here.
All right.
James has been a member of our church for a while. He left for a couple years, did some study at Boyce College, which you're still continuing.
Yeah, continuing online. That's right.
So
Yep.
he's got ministry aspirations, and he's been helping out a lot here at the church. And one of the things that James does is he's helped design our website. He's the main guy behind that. So when you see that website, this is the guy. And I was looking at it today. I just noticed that now you got like a live, well, not live, but motion going on from our service. I just noticed that today. When did you add that? Was that from last Sunday? You've got the motion on the main page. I really liked that. Was
I was just playing with it because I had some videos on my phone, and it's one of the features you can put on there. So that's not the final product, but I was just seeing if it worked, and it works really well.
Yeah.
So
well, I liked it. Cool. So James, so I just thought since Pastor Tom wasn't going to be here, and I'm preaching, and I thought it'd be, instead of doing the minute alone, invite someone else. And so James was willing to do that. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, you're stuck with me now, so no going back.
Yeah. And remember, we got to get it under a minute. So that's something that's always a challenge. Well, anyway, so just to give you a little preview, so this Sunday is Mother's Day, and we're going to have a sermon. We're going to be talking about one of the great women of faith in the Bible, Hannah. And you can find Hannah in 1 Samuel chapter 1 and 2 we'll be looking at. And I'm going to call the sermon Hannah, Woman of Grace. That's what her name means, and that's what she is. And you look at this story, you're going to see first that Hannah was a woman of grief, of sorrow. We're going to talk about that. But she had pain. She was barren. That brought a lot of shame in that culture. She was taunted about it. And so we're going to look at her grief. And then we're going to see that she was a woman of prayer. And that grief, and that's what we need to do when we come into those kinds of situations where our heart's troubled. We've got to go to God in prayer. And we're going to see Hannah do that. We're going to see her sweet communion with God. And then we're also going to see that she's a woman of her word. She keeps her word to the Lord. He answered her prayer, and she does exactly what she said she'd do by giving her son Samuel to him. And then we're going to just see that she was a kingdom woman. She was a woman of God. She was all about God, his kingdom, his purposes. And there's a lot that we can learn here when we talk about mothers, and when we set apart a day to honor them and to honor the women in our lives in general. This is a model right here, and not a perfect woman like the other. There's no perfect man or woman in the scripture. There's only one perfect man, Jesus Christ. But we're going to see, we do see in Hannah, James, compared to some of the other, because barrenness, Hannah wasn't the first person in the Bible to have this barrenness problem. This is a reoccurring problem. And the way she handles it, I mean, her heart is broken, but she goes to God, which I think makes her so special. But talk a little bit about, because I told you what we were going to talk about, and you did some thinking about this too. Talk about some of the other women in the Bible that struggled with this, and what's the difference?
Yeah, so you did tell me before, so I looked up some things, and I guess Hannah's like the fourth woman in biblical history that struggled with infertility, not being able to have a child. And so I have a little thing here just to share.
Yeah.
But it says before Hannah, there were three women that endured the despair of not being able to conceive. You had Sarah, she was the first, followed by Rebecca, and then Rachel. But Hannah, she was the example of someone that when she was not able to have a child, she took it to the Lord. You don't see in 1 Samuel her complaining, but she was burdened by it. and it was a type of suffering for her, and she took that to the Lord. But the other examples, we don't see that. For example, we're told that Sarah, she laughed at
Right.
the angel's proclamation that God would give her a child. We see that in Genesis 18.
She laughed in
Uh,
disbelief,
yeah,
basically.
Rebecca, she questioned. She said, "If all is well, why am I like this?" And that was as her twins were struggling in the womb. That's in Genesis 25. And then Rachel, she gave the responsibility to her husband. She basically said to Jacob, "Give me children, or I'll die." And so, all three of those women, when they were confronted with the same thing that Hannah was, they responded in a negative way, either in anger or just questioning it, or and and we see that Hannah was exemplified at doing the right thing. It's okay to be burdened.
Yeah.
It's certainly not wrong to have that's natural. No woman in the world that wants to have a child that can't would be, just like, oh, okay.
You're not. The scriptures don't say, that just, you're just happy-go-lucky when
Right.
things aren't going good. I mean, if you look at, and thank you for sharing that, because I think, again, we do see a sort of a depth of faith with Anna from the start that maybe we haven't seen with some of these others, but she's still, as much as she's not complaining, she's still human. Because look at what she says in verse 11 in her prayer. O Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction of your servant and remember me and forget not your servant. So she's very honest and she says, Lord, look on me, look on my trouble. Now, I could see a super pious, self-righteous religious person saying, "Oh, Hannah, boo-hoo, so you can't have a kid. Why
Yeah.
are you complaining to God about that? Aren't there bigger things in the world to worry about?" And certainly sometimes the devil tries to put guilt upon distress with our requests, but it's not wrong.
No.
She's a woman and that's a burden she had. But notice this, she's not doing this selfishly. She wants to do it for the kingdom. And was Samuel instrumental in God's kingdom? I think so.
Yeah.
And then we see her prayer in chapter 2, which it's a kingdom prayer. And who does Hannah foreshadow? She foreshadows Mary. Mary had that same kind of faith. When you look at Mary's Magnificat, they call it, in Luke, and Hannah's prayer in chapter 2, you'll see that these were kingdom women. So I do hope that this honors our mothers, that this honors our sisters. What are a couple things you might just give an appreciation for the women, your mom, your wife, and the women in your life? What might you say to that?
Yeah, well, I mean, mothers carry a huge responsibility. They never stop working. I get out of work at a certain time, and I'm basically done for the day. My wife in particular, she never stops. Like her day just keeps going. Sometimes even in the middle of the night, And not only that, but just the influence, like the way my wife has influence over our kids, it's amazing. They're real little right now. Like one's 3 and the other's 1.5, but you could just see over.
I was over the house the other day. Those are precious kids, and they got a lot of energy. Boy,
a lot of energy. Yeah,
I'll tell you.
I
They were
don't-
just dedicated on Sunday, so that was really nice.
Yeah, that was awesome. But yeah, there's an incredible influence. They work very hard, and I could see it. I could see the days where she's struggling because she's just worn down. It's a lot of work. It takes patience. It takes just thinking of not of yourself but of them. And so watching that, it actually gives me an appreciation for my mom. I could really, seeing the things that we go through now, I'm thinking, man, my mom went through the same type of stuff. And boy, do they need the credit for that, because that,
Well, my mom's name is actually Anna, which is actually the same. Hannah and Anna are actually the same name.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and,
Yeah.
and they're the same name biblically. And I'm Samuel, which is just kind of it's just kind of funny. So
That's awesome.
But no, I have
Wow.
just a tremendous appreciation for my mom and the women in my life and what the role they've played. And and I think it, like you were saying with watching Maggie, she's got to think about the kids and put the kids first, and not only that, but even thinking bigger picture. because I heard at your dedication, and it was powerful what you were praying for those kids.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, wow, maybe Evelyn will be a missionary.
Yeah.
Maybe Amelia, her name basically means strength. She's going to maybe be a strong woman, maybe a bold witness for the Lord. So we think of these kingdom purposes. And I think another encouragement that we get for Hannah is even those that are not physically mothers, though Hannah did actually end up becoming that, but she gave it right back to God. I think there's something here for them too, to begin thinking about kingdom purpose. Yeah. And how can they, even if you don't have physical kids, how can you now find those people in your life to be an influence and pour into them? And that goes for men too. And so we want to be influencers for the next generation, and we want to be influencers for God. So I hope this will be a good message. Once again, we'd not keep this to a minute. Not even 5 minutes.
That's awesome.
But it's good having James here, and we'll have him fill in. Are you free next week? Can you help me?
Hey, if you need me for another minute,
right.
I got a minute.
Can I book you? All right. Well,
okay.
But anyway, everybody, happy Mother's Day, and we'll hope to see you at church. And thanks for coming on, James. And
no problem.
See y'all later.
Take care.
Bye.